The man accidentally fell into a fish tank, but it instantly made his scalp tingle because he contracted a strange illness. The size was reduced by a factor of 1,000. Even a small fish became a colossal creature before him. Fortunately, there was only one goldfish in the tank. It was not an aggressive fish. Paul narrowly escaped disaster because the dark, damp basement was full of spiders. To avoid becoming a spider's meal, Paul picked up a bottle cap. He planned to sneak up on the spider and trap it underneath the cap, but he never expected the spider to be so keenly aware of its surroundings. It instantly saw through Paul's intentions. Seeing the spider slowly crawling toward him, Paul had no choice but to pull out the embroidery needle from his waist. He prepared to face the spider head-on, but he had severely underestimated the spider's strength. Fighting for survival, Paul quickly darted into a nearby corner, but the spider pursued him relentlessly. At the critical moment, Paul managed to grab a small twig from the ground. He thrust forcefully at the spider. That was how he narrowly saved his life. But there were clearly more spiders in the basement. Seeking a safer hiding place, Paul gathered some scraps of cardboard. Then he found a box of matches. He intended to start a small fire in the basement. However, he was simply too weak. Struck the match for a long time but couldn't get it to light. Even so, Paul refused to give up. After countless attempts, the match finally flared to life. With the light source, Paul's taut nerves finally began to relax. But as the days went by, Paul's body continued to shrink. By now, he had become as tiny as an ant. Hearing footsteps from upstairs, Paul immediately rushed toward the sound. He screamed at the top of his lungs, desperately trying to attract attention. Yet, no matter how loudly Paul shouted, there was no response. Because his body had shrunk to a minuscule size, his voice was now as faint as the buzzing of a mosquito. Humans simply could not hear him. He even narrowly escaped being crushed underfoot. It was only then that Paul realized the person upstairs was a real estate agent. Clearly, his wife had sold the house while he was trapped in the basement. Upon seeing the goldfish that had long since starved to death Paul into deep despair, was this to be his fate as well? Just like that goldfish? Suddenly, Paul heard the buzzing of a mosquito overhead. Watching the mosquito successfully fly out the window, Paul had a realization. If he wanted to leave this place, the window was his only way out. Moreover, because of his tiny size, the grain on the wood also became distinct. He was merely climbing onto a table. For him, however, it was a sheer 100-meter cliff. But the basement window was his only chance of escape. He had to fight his way up. Fortunately, through sheer determination, he finally managed to crawl onto the tabletop. However, another daunting problem arose. How was he to cross the vast chasm lying before him? But in order to escape, Paul had to take a desperate gamble. He gathered all his strength and sprinted forward. As he neared the edge, Paul made a sudden leap. Luckily, he landed safely on the wall opposite him. Paul thought he had finally found the path to freedom, but he hadn't gone far when he suddenly encountered a massive spider web. A spider was crawling across it. Paul dared not confront the spider head-on. He had to make his way through the web with extreme caution, fearing it might startle the spider above. Despite his utmost care, the spider sensed the intruder. Just as the spider was